नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। गीतासु गीतकर्तव्यम् किमन्ये शास्त्रविस्तरै। यः स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखं पद्माद्विनिसृतः। Okay. So we're reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 14, text 19. नान्यं गुणेभ्य कर्तारं यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति। नान्यं गुणेभ्य कर्तारं यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति। नान्यं गुणेभ्य कर्तारं यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति। नान्यं गुणेभ्य कर्तारं यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति। नान्यं गुणेभ्य कर्तारं यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति। माताजी। नान्यं गुणेभ्य कर्तारं यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति। Word meanings: na, no, anyam, other, gunebhya, then the qualities, kartaram, performer, yada, when, drishta, a seer, anupashyati, sees properly, gunebhya, to the modes of nature, cha, and, param, transcendental, veti, knows, madbhavam, to my spiritual nature, saha, he, adhigacchati, is promoted. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation: when one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. Purport: one can transcend all the activities of the modes of material nature simply by understanding them properly, by learning them from proper source. The real spiritual master is Krishna, and he is imparting this spiritual knowledge to Arjuna. Similarly, it is from those who are fully in Krishna consciousness that one has to learn the science of activities in terms of the modes of nature. Otherwise, one's life will be misdirected. By the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, a living entity can know of his spiritual position, his material body, his senses, how he is entrapped and how he is under the spell of the material modes of nature. He is helpless, being in the grip of these modes, but when he can see his real position, then he can attain to the transcendental platform, having the scope for spiritual life. Actually, the living entity is not the performer of different activities, He is forced to act because he is situated in a particular type of body conducted by some particular mode of material nature. Unless one has the help of spiritual authority, he cannot understand in what position he is actually situated. With the association of a bona fide spiritual master, he can see his real position, and by such an understanding he can become fixed in full Krishna consciousness. A man in Krishna consciousness is not controlled by the spell of the material modes of nature. It has already been stated in the 7th chapter that one who has surrendered to Krishna is relieved from the activities of material nature. For one who is able to see things as they are, the influence of material nature gradually ceases. A man in Krishna consciousness is not controlled by the spell of the material modes of nature. It has already been stated in the 7th chapter that one who has surrendered to Krishna is relieved from the activities of material nature. For one who is able to see things as they are, the influence of material nature gradually ceases. Om Agyan Timrandasya Gyanam Janashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamahayam Dati Swapadantikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. As usual, when I am giving the class or presenting the lecture, I will be raising some questions and trying to answer them based on what this shlokas speaking. First question is, who will misdirect our lives? Prabhupada says our lives will be misdirected if we are under the modes of material nature. So the modes, the gunas, are constantly pushing us. Like the mode of passion will push us in a particular way. Go and enjoy those things. Mode of ignorance will push us to sleep or will push us to become mad. And mode of goodness will push us to become satisfied by a sense of happiness in this world. Oh, I am a great man. I am doing charity. Such a nice mountain to look at, to stay, or nice beautiful place of riverside I can peacefully stay. I can be peaceful in this world. This is the contamination of mode of goodness. So we see in all these things there is no relationship to Krishna. Are we able to, am I able to communicate? Have we experienced this in our life? Every day we are experiencing, like maybe 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, we will feel like sleeping now. And then when we are very hungry, or even we are not hungry, suppose a gulab jamun comes in front of us, the mode of passion will incite us, oh, even if you are not hungry, why don't you go for it, have it. So we understand that the modes of nature push us. Why don't you go? Why don't you go do this? Why don't you go do this? And being pulled by them or pushed by them, we do certain activities without thinking whether they will have a relationship with Krishna or not. Okay. So now the problem has been defined. But before that, also one point is that if we are not Krishna conscious, by default we will be dominated by a particular mode of nature. During the whole discussion, we will also see how these modes can also be, even being within the modes, we can still remain transcendental. We can still be in a liberated position. It looks like a contradiction that a person is in modes of material nature, working in the modes of material nature, but still he can be liberated. That is the beauty of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So who will misdirect our lives? The modes. They will push us. Okay. Also it has to be understood that the modes acts on our mind. When we say Mera man ye kar raha hai, my mind wants to do something like this. Generally people say this, I want to do something like this. So it's not that I want, it's that the mind is wanting to do that, and that mind is being pushed by the mode, particular mode of nature. Okay. Second, how to understand the activities of the modes. First of all, did we come to know whether modes exist or not? How do we know that modes are actually existing? By hearing from proper sources. If you go out in the market and ask them, do you know about the 3 modes of material nature? they will not know anything about it, because they have not heard properly and they have not heard from proper sources. There are two things which Prabhupada says: we should learn properly and should learn from proper sources. Just like students are here now, so they are learning very properly, all of you are learning very properly in the college, but not learning from proper source. Simply the knowledge of electronics or mechanical engineering, like I am a mechanical engineer from my previous background, will not help us to understand the modes. So it has to be learned properly and has to be learned from proper sources. But if it is not learned properly, even if you have Bhagavad Gita, people will not learn about the modes. Just like the outside people who don't read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavad Gita as it is, so although they are learning from proper source, Bhagavad Gita, but they are not learning properly. So they are also not understanding the modes. So you have to learn properly and from proper source. Both the combination has to be there. Now, so what is the meaning of learning properly? Lord Krishna has explained, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya updekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. So a person who knows this knowledge, this sloka, he will understand that Lord Krishna is saying that to digest this knowledge, to learn this spiritual knowledge, one has to approach a tattvadarshi who knows proper tattva, who knows about these modes of material nature, and he has to do pranipat. What does this pranipat mean? Pranipat means I have respect for the speaker. If a person has a challenging attitude, what does he know? I know better. Prabhupada says in one of the lectures, then there is no need to hear from that person, because then there is a whole block on our ears and our consciousness. We can't understand what the speaker is speaking. And then sevaya, we have to serve. Now what is normally we will say, oh, I go to my engineering college or I go to my mathematics class, I hear and I understand. There is no question of service. Why Krishna is saying, Lord Sri Krishna is saying service? Along with inquiries, submissive inquiries, we have to render service so that we can digest it. It's like we are not the body, we are soul. Oh yeah, we have understood. One of the students yesterday was asking me, one boy is saying, since I am not the body, I am the soul, so anyhow I can smoke? Because the body is not, so the soul will not be affected, the body is smoking. So this is called indigestion of spiritual knowledge. He has not digested he has rather got indigested. He is using it in wrong sense. So what we have to do, we should have respect for the speaker. And second, we should do service. When we hear and when we practice in our life, then we can digest what we have heard it. Okay. And what is the need to hear from the proper source? This is amazing. Lord Krishna says, Tribhir gunamair bhavir ebhi sarvam idam jagat. This material energy, which is from consisting of the three modes of material nature, is deluding the whole world. So now you understand the need of proper source? Are you able to understand what I am trying to say? Lord Krishna is saying the whole world is deluded by the modes of material nature. So now, if you don't hear from proper source, you will get deluded information. Deludation समझते हैं? भ्रमित हैं लोग. मोहितम नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम्. That Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I always give example again and again. Who is Supreme Personality of Godhead? Can you answer probably? Who is Supreme Personality of Godhead? Who is Bhagavan? Now just remove Bhagavad Gita from the picture and then can you answer that? Are you able to understand the depth of this question? I am saying just remove Bhagavad Gita. You have heard from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. If you remove Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, there is no chance that we can understand this point. That's what Krishna is saying, mohitam nabijanati. People don't learn from proper source Bhagavad Gita as it is. So mohitam nabijanati. They don't know about Krishna. And even if Krishna is personally present, they don't know about Krishna. Avajananti mama muda. So they are all deluded by modes of passion, ignorance, and that's why they cannot understand Krishna. And because they can't understand Krishna, they will remain entangled in the modes of material nature. This question is answered. Now, what is the clue for transcending the modes? After defining the problem, we have to also define the solution. This is very wonderful. Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport when he can see his real position. Real position, please remember, we will discuss on this point. When a person can see his real position, then he can attain to the transcendental platform. Simply by seeing our real position, we can immediately be situated in the transcendental platform, having the scope for a spiritual life. Beautiful line. So what is our real position? Very nice. Jivera Swarupa hoye Krishner Nityardas, Krishner Tatastha Shakti Vedat Ved Prakash. Beautiful point. So what? When we can see our real position, when we accept that we are servants of Krishna and we engage in Krishna's service, immediately we are aloof from the modes of material nature. Just like right now we are trying to hear about Krishna, I am trying to speak about Krishna, we are immediately aloof from the modes of material nature, although it appears that we are actually acting through the modes of material nature. We are still on, just like you see, very good example Lord Krishna says, Padmam Patram Evam Bhasa. The leaf of lotus situated on water. Where it is situated? On water, not in water. Are you able to see the difference? Our body is produced of modes of material nature, no problem. Our mind is produced of modes of material nature, but because we are being engaged in Krishna's service, although we appear to be merged in matter, as Prabhupada explains in one of the purports, in the pastime of Maharaj Ambrish, a devotee may appear to be merged in matter, but he still is aloof, simply by engaging in Krishna's service. Okay, so that is, we have understood that if we are accept that we are servants of Krishna and engage in Krishna's service, immediately we are on the transcendental platform. We may not be able to perceive it, but we have to accept from the, just like you see, Ajamil was saying, Narayan, come from your mother's lab to my lab. And the Vishnu Dutas are explaining when they came to save him, that Yad Jahara, then first time when he has said Narayan, millions and millions of lifetimes sins have gone. Finished, everything. So he didn't understand I am a liberated person. Did he understand? He didn't understand. Even his sinful tendencies also were apparently not going. But he was seen as a Vaishnava by whom? By the Vishnu Dutas. Very amazing. By Krishna himself. That's very interesting. Okay. So what is the transcendental platform? It's very simple. If a person accepts that I am a servant of Krishna and serves Krishna by body, mind and words, then he is on the transcendental platform. Can you explain what is transcendental platform? First accept that we are servants of Krishna, yes, and then we have to serve Krishna by body, mind and words. Beautiful shloka. Now what I am going to read from the section, you will be amazed to hear. So hear very attentively. Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasa gira nikhilasu api avasthasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. Srila Rupa Goswami has quoted, and Prabhupada several times quote this shloka in Bhagavad Gita, also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This shows that a person, very beautiful, a person who is engaged by body, mind and words in Krishna's service, leave alone this point, even if he desires to engage in Krishna's service, oh, I want to read Bhagavad Gita, liberated. He has not read Bhagavad Gita. He has already desired to read Bhagavad Gita, desire to pay obeisances to Krishna. He is liberated. Are you able to understand this point? The potency of devotional service? You understand this point? And who is saying this? Srila Rupa Goswami. Nikhilasu. Nikhilasu means all situations. Avasthasu. That means whether he is a neophyte devotee, is a Madhyam Adhikari or whatever. In all situations, if he has only determined, I am going to serve Krishna, he is liberated. I will tell you from different angle. When I am chanting Hare Krishna, what karma I am getting? Nothing. When I am honoring prasadam, what karma I am getting? Nothing. And that's what Lord Krishna says, Shubha Shubha Falaya Revam Moksha Se Karma Bandhanai. Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimokshto Mamapashasi. That a person who gives up all these Shubha Shubha activities and engages in my service, offering all his activities to me, he becomes liberated from karma bandhan. So that from that perspective, although I may have material desires, all those things, But as long as I am engaged in Krishna's service, I am above the transcendental platform. Or I would say I am on the transcendental platform, although it looks a person is in material situation. And the same thing Srila Rupa Goswami warns us, Drishta svabhava janiter vapusascha dosher na prakritatmih bhakta janasya pakshe gangam bhasam na khalu buddha buddha fena pankir brahmat ravatma pagachat nir dharmay. That if you see a fault in a devotee, please overlook it. Why? He is as spiritual as Ganga water, which may have foams and bubbles, but he is actually in the transcendental platform. If he is engaged in Krishna's service, it's very, very important. Okay, now very beautiful purport from Srila Prabhupada. I'll read that. This shloka has been quoted by Srila Prabhupada in Madhya 11.89, and now Prabhupada goes into what kind of a devotee is actually, what are the symptoms of a devotee in a transcendental platform. He says that a devotee is always thinking how better to serve Lord Krishna. This another brings out to a point that a devotee is never satisfied. He always thinks, oh, how I can serve Krishna better. I am not serving Krishna nicely. How I can do better? How can I do better? This is the nature of pure devotional service. Although we preach that by serving Krishna you will be satisfied, but it's just the reverse. You will not become satisfied. There is no satiation. There is no stopping. As it is, you can see in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, sadhu, sadhu, pade, pade. At every step they are relishing Krishna Katha. Same thing Arjuna says in 11th chapter. He says, I am not satisfied to hear your glories. Please tell me more and more and more and more detail. Just imagine, on the verge, he's on the verge of fighting a great battle. But now he is absorbed in hearing Harikatha, Krishna Katha from Krishna himself. He says, oh, please tell me more, please tell me more. I want to know more, I want to know more. So we understand that devotee is always thinking how to serve Krishna better. And remember, I have said that, Prabhupada, I am quoting Prabhupada, a person who even desires to serve Krishna is liberated. So think about it, a person who is constantly thinking how I can serve Krishna better, how can I serve Krishna better. So in that way, he is already on the transcendental platform. Okay. And he wants to serve the Lord by broadcasting his name, fame, qualities throughout the world. This is the main, very beautiful point. Srila Prabhupada in one of the purports says, Sakam Bhakta is interested in his own benefits. But a Nishkam Bhakta wants to glorify Krishna and broadcast his glories all throughout the world. You understand this point? It's like demigods are a good example. In that they are considered as Sakam Bhaktas because it's very interesting. When they go before Lord Vishnu, they don't ask to go back to Godhead. They say, please kill Vritasur, he is giving so much trouble. So they are interested in their own, solving their own material problems. But a devotee like Srila Narad Muni, he asked in Brihad Bhagavatamrit part 1, he asked a benediction from Lord Krishna that eternally I want to be engaged in spreading the glories of your holy name. That is the only service which I want. And Krishna says, Tadhastu, okay, no problem. He grants the benediction. A punchline now. One who is Nitya Siddha has no business other than broadcasting the glories of the Lord all over the world according to his ability. This is a very heavy statement. Such people are already associates of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You understand the gravity of this statement? That a person whose only desire is to propagate the Hare Krishna mantra or participate in the movement of Lord Chaitanya, he is already an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is already in the Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These are not my words. So don't say I am exaggerating. Prabhupada is saying. 11.89. So amazing words which I found when I was searching this. Beautiful point. So to become the associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not difficult at all. And it is not even told that you have to become a great preacher or delivering millions of people. No, according to our ability, if we can preach, Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna Pradesh, immediately you are associate of Lord Chaitanya, Chela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shishya of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Is it difficult? Not difficult at all. According to his ability. Prabhupada is so graciously presenting it. आपकी जितनी शक्ति हो उतना प्रचार करिए. Whatever, you just give some prasadam, you just request people to chant Hare Krishna, and immediately you are recognized as an associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very, very powerful statement. And therefore, Narottam Das Thakur says, Nitya Siddhi Kaurimani. What is that first line? Gaurangera Sangi Gane Nitya Siddhi Kaurimani. Who is Gauranga Sangi Gane? Just now we mentioned. Who is that? Who is that associate? Yes, those are spread. Now, how much we have to be careful in dealing with such devotees? Because in some way or another, all the devotees of ISKCON are helping to preach the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And how much benefit we will get if we serve them in any way possible. That's why I am saying Shastra really helps us to change our vision. Nikhilasu api avastasu jivan mukta sauchate. A person who is even desiring to serve Krishna is liberated. Nitya Siddha, they are liberated souls in whatever condition they are. That's why to be authority of devotees is very dangerous, because you have to chastise liberated souls. Sometimes, when they sometimes behave not so liberated way, we have to chastise or get chastised. But this is for our purification. Okay. Narottam Das Thakur says, Prabhupada is telling that anyone is a Nitya Siddha if he acts on behalf of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by spreading the glories of the holy name of the Lord. We should respect those devotees preaching the glories of the Lord as Nitya Siddha and should not consider them conditioned, as I mentioned. And Prabhupada says, quotes that Mam Chava Bhivacharina Bhakti Yogena Sevate Sagunan Samati Tetan Brahma Pujaya Kalpate. A person who engages in Krishna's service, understanding that I am Krishna's servant, immediately transcends the modes of material nature. And second point in this is Nitya Siddha not only understands that he is a soul, but he also engages in the activities of the soul. And what are the activities of the soul? Atma की क्रियाएं क्या हैं? Okay, and more explicitly, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pad Sevanam Ityadi. That means the 9 forms of devotional service are the activities of the soul. So just simply by engaging in these activities, we are actually aloof from the modes of material nature. Okay, Srila Prabhupada also talks about the association of spiritual masters, so we will talk about something in that. Prabhupada says, unless one has the help of a spiritual authority, he cannot understand in what position is actually situated. With the association of a bona fide spiritual master, he can see his real position, and by such an understanding, he can become fixed in full Krishna consciousness. All these things are very nice. We have already explained what is real position. What is real position? I am a servant of Krishna. And what is unreal position? I am the enjoyer of this world. I am a proprietor of this world. And more subtle is, I am Suhrid. I can do good to people. Very practical example. Many times I am the Goshala in charge, and some devotee tells me, Prabhuji, I have stomach ache. And I realize in my heart, I cannot do anything to help that devotee. I don't know anything about that devotee. I can say, okay, go to that doctor. And you will see that sometimes doctor also is only speculating he has maybe that problem. I remember I had bed bugs and have red marks all over my body. And doctors were saying, oh, you have heat over the body, this, that. 15 days I was suffering, and then I realized I had bed bugs. So I had to suffer through that period, but Krishna was not giving me the intelligence at that time. Oh, you have bed bugs, and I was taking all kind of medicines. So we have to give up the idea that we are not Suhrid. Krishna is Suhrid. We have to say to people, please take shelter of Krishna. This is a devotee's preaching, and that's how he is Suhrid. It's a very subtle thing. I am not Suhrid. I cannot do anything. I have problem in my own body. I don't know. How can I tell about others? So this conception is unreal position. I am Suhrid, I am proprietor, or I am controller. It's not possible. So, how do we know this? Because we have associated with our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, who is a Siksha Guru for whole of ISKCON, and by hearing from him, we have understood these things. Otherwise, I would have never understood this point. Okay. Now, it is very interesting what Prahlad Maharaj says. He says, Matir na Krishne paratah svatova midho bhipadyet grahavratanam adanta gobhir vishatam tamistram punah punah charvita charvananam. Very interesting. He says that Matir na Krishna. A person's mati will never come to Krishna by his own endeavor, by somebody else endeavor, even coming together in assemblies, they will never think about Krishna. It's a very, very heavy statement. If we would have never heard from devotees, we are not the bodies, we are servants of Krishna, would we have ever engaged in Krishna's service? No. And you see this. अब मैं हिंदी में बोलता हूँ जैसे कि हमारे हृदय का कभी बल्ब जलता नहीं. The bulb in a consciousness never awakens. Oh, I am a servant of Krishna, I must engage in Krishna's service. It doesn't go like that. We have to hear from devotees. When it is said here from others, others means non-devotees. So many meetings are happening, United Nations, in Parliament, so many. Are they discussing, oh, we are servants of Krishna, we should engage in Krishna's service? It happens? It never happens. Mitho, that means coming together also, they will discuss, but they will never discuss about Krishna. Their mati will never come to Krishna. Why? As we have begun in this discussion, misdirected. As Prahlad Maharaj also said, because the uncontrolled senses, which are completely under the control of the modes of material nature, they are pushed to go away from Krishna. So doing all those things they will not. And what they are doing? They are chewing the chewed. What they have eaten, again and again chewing the chewed, again and again. Okay. The last line says, for one who is able to see things as they are, the influence of material nature gradually ceases. It's very nice. What is, whenever, when I was preparing for my engineering college, engineering examination entrance, so my mathematics tutor used to tell me, if a question is given, then ask why it is given like this. Then you can, because the person who set a question, he has given clues to answer that. So always ask why. So now if you ask the same way, so the whole shloka becomes very interesting, the purport becomes very interesting. So what does it mean to see things as they are? And then Krishna also says this in Bhagavad Gita, samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatva vinashyantam yaha pashyati sa pashyati. Yaha pashyati, जो ये देखता है स pashyati, वो देखता है. क्या देखता है? What does he see? One who sees the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. When a person can see that super soul is in the heart and the soul is within the heart and both of them cannot be destroyed, that person actually sees. But this itself is incomplete in the sense that he has to understand also that the soul is part and parcel of the super soul or Krishna, and it has to be engaged, it has to engage in his service. Basically we have to turn towards Krishna. That has to be also understood, and the whole process of bhakti is to turn towards Krishna. So we'll conclude. Basically we are all spirit souls, point number 1. That means to be understanding what is our real position. We are parts and parcel of Krishna, and it is our duty to serve him with love for his pleasure, and also help other living entities to be engaged in his service. So what should be our determination? Our determination should be right now how I can be engaged in Krishna's service. Because as soon as I don't engage in Krishna's service, the modes of material nature will push me to do something as what they want. So the real challenge as an authority for devotees and for myself is that how I can be constantly engaged in Krishna's service. See, right now in our situation, we may not be able to chant Hare Krishna all day. But as Srila Prabhupada explained, that all services are on the transcendental platform. So we should all throughout the day have constant engagements. And if we don't have engagements, we should be fearful. Because if I don't serve Krishna, immediately the masters are there. Rajagun, Tamagun and Satagun. Yes, I'll have many things to say but on that point, but I'll stop here. Any questions are there, then we can take up, otherwise I'll stop. Any questions? Comments? You want to say something? श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे। Krishna Krishna.